Hey guys, welcome to the Chasing Giants TV Hunt Report. So we're going to put out these reports every Friday. Both Joe Miles and myself are going to report on what we've seen that week in our hunts across the country, as well as what we expect to see in the coming week. We're going to look at weather, upcoming weather, also look at the stage of the rut and share tactics and such that we're going to be using in the coming week. Hopefully you guys can utilize that to help you be successful as well. Now, obviously, most of my hunts are going to be from my home state of Illinois. I don't really have any intentions to go out of state, although I do have properties in Ohio where if a good buck shows up, I could run over there, but right now that looks doubtful. Joe Miles, on the other hand, it's hard telling where he's going to be. He may be in South Carolina where he lives, or he may be in Kansas or Texas or about anywhere in between. So these reports are going to be coming from, at least on Joe's side, from a pretty wide geographic area. So, as far as myself, this past week, last weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday was our youth season here in Illinois. And I took my grandson Walker out all 3 days, both morning and evening, and was actually pretty disappointed in the deer activity that we were seeing. Now, we've seen deer on 5 of those 6 hunts, but really we only seen bucks on 1 hunt, and that was the very last hunt on Monday evening. It was pretty warm. I think that first day was in the mid-80s, and it cooled off just a little bit each day. But right after that youth season, things really cooled off here in Illinois, and we got down there was a couple days actually that I think the high temperatures were in the 50s, mid to high 50s. And boy, the deer activity absolutely picked up. I know there was one evening that my mentor, Al Foster, came and sit with me in a deer blind. First time that that's ever happened, but we shared a hunt and seen a lot of deer. Basically from the time we got in the blind until we left, we pretty much had deer around us. Had one 3.5-year-old buck chasing does that evening, but the activity really picked up when that cold front hit. Now, I'm a guy that doesn't like to hunt October mornings until the last 10 days of the month, and then only on cold fronts during that last 10 days of the month. And this cold front that we've had this past week, I think was just a little bit early. Now, I'm sure there's some great bucks that were killed, and I'm sure there were some that were killed on morning hunts, but if you're going to play the odds, that's just not a great time to do it, in my opinion. Although, again, it definitely can be done. Now, what I'm really looking forward to is this coming week. Things are going to warm up from this cold front, but even looking into next week, there's a few days that the highs are going to be around 70, but then it's going to dip right back down into the 60s. And, at night, it's going to be down around 40 degrees or so. And for this time of year, that's ideal conditions, and I just expect that deer activity to keep picking up. Now, if you guys listen to the podcast, you probably heard Terry and I talking about lack of rubs. I've just not seen the rub activity this year that I have in past years, and I don't have an explanation for that, but I want to turn that around because I've seen more scrape activity than I've probably ever seen. In fact, when this weekend, when I was taking my grandson hunting, my son-in-law Corey was going along as well, and we walked down one edge to get to a blind, and we got to the blind, and both Corey and I commented on how many scrapes were along that edge that we walked, and like Corey said, he'd never seen that many scrapes along that edge before, and neither had I. I mean, they are scraping like crazy. Here on the farm, I've got one camera that is on an edge with a bunch of scrapes on it, and that camera is getting over 500 pictures a day. Now, that's not all bucks working the scrape. It's an edge that's pretty heavily traveled, but a lot of that activity is at night, and it is bucks hitting those scrapes. So I would expect some of that activity to spill over into daylight hours here in the coming week or two. So that's a tactic that if you're a scrape hunter, I think the activity that we're seeing is a little ahead of schedule as far as the scrape activity. But, I'm going to be plugging away mainly evening hunts, going every opportunity. I've already killed my target buck, so I'm going to be focusing on trying to shoot some does. I'm obviously not going to do that in the sensitive areas of my farm, but get onto some of those outlying areas and see if I can harvest a few does. We've just got plenty on the farm now and need to thin that herd down a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Joe now, and hope you guys will tune in every week for the Chasing Giants TV Hunt Report.
Hey guys, Joe Miles, Chasing Giants TV field update. And as you can see, I am not in the field. I am in the Osseo Gear headquarters here in South Carolina. And perfect timing as our big rut sale just started. So guys, if you need to pick anything up before the rut gets going, check out Osseo Gear. We got some great sales, great prices going, so give it a shot. But wanted to update everybody with where we are as far as my season is concerned. Right now in South Carolina, we had a terrible flood, one of the worst floods ever, worse than the 100-year flood in 2015. It was about 2 inches higher. Completely wiped out everything we were doing in the swamp. I had really closed in on my target buck, and probably another week or so, I think I would have gotten a shot at him. I've had to reset everything. Our rut is in South Carolina is starting to go. It's pre-rut right now. They're starting to travel more and more. I've gotten a lot of cameras reset and starting to close in on that target buck, the buck I hunted last year in the swamp and I've been on this year. So right now I'm going to get started. We've got a cold front coming. It's almost like that November 5th, 7th time frame if you were hunting in the Midwest that we're getting right now in South Carolina. So I'm going to dive in probably the end of this week, maybe even this afternoon if the wind stays like it is, and get started hunting that buck. As far as my Midwest plans go, you know, right now all of my cameras are set up in rut funnels and I'm getting very little movement. I'm getting a few deer go through in and out of there through that funnel, but I'm really not expecting anything until that end of October. So I'm just kind of hanging out right now and monitoring things, you know, looking at social media, seeing some big deer hit the ground. And guys, you've just got to be patient. You can certainly kill deer right now in the Midwest and throughout the country, but man, don't force it. If conditions aren't exactly right, this whole season, the good part of the season is coming up. Certainly if you've got a target buck and you can get in on him and you've got the conditions right, go in there and kill him. But guys, just because you're seeing deer hit the ground doesn't mean conditions are right for you in your area. Stay the course, stay with the plan. It's going to be a great season, seeing a lot of big deer around. So good luck, and we'll be back next time with another in-field report, and we will actually be in the field. Thanks, guys.